Hi there, I'm Linda K. Gifford. I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. I'm also a life coach for those with PTSD stemming from any kind of abuse, focusing on sexual abuse. But here we're going to change. I'm going to stop myself because this is what it's all about today. I said abuse because that's what you expected to hear. That's what we call it, but it's not abuse. And the fact that this is just dawning on me, my book is near to completion, being laid out, and thank God we didn't go to print because I named my book Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Abuse. And that would have been such a misnomer and such an error because I survived childhood sexual assault, having been molested and raped for 7 years of my adolescence. From 11 to 17, I was assaulted over and over and over, and no more will I call it abuse. So I'm having to rework all the artwork and stuff because it's call it what it is, I'm tired of us making light of things. It's just another way to sweep under the rug what is happening all around us. The whole don't tell, the whole people worried about the family, people worried about no one believing them. We just keep perpetuating and perpetuating this in society. So what I'm going to do with you, like I do with the people that I coach and counsel, is teach you trigger management, for one thing, but also the importance of advocating. And for you to learn the importance of advocating, you've got to see the paradoxes in society that are set up that continue the marginalization of women and the sexualization of women and girls. I mean, it's so confusing. It's so confusing to be a child, not just today, ever. I saw something on Fox News, a clip from Fox News. I don't know if I think it was just today or yesterday, where somebody, they were having what was supposed to be a literary conversation. I'm looking at my notes for this one. He said that big problem in America is that people are marrying and having children and starting families in their 30s instead of their 20s. And that we need to get back to our family values and get people married off. Pull that down. Get them married off like we used to in the good old days. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He went on to say, and three of them saying in a very condescending manner, I know, I saw the clips on the Young Turks. If you don't watch the Young Turks, it's a great Facebook news program, progressive news program, obviously, but very fair and with a slight international slant. So, so anyway, that's one of today's goals is we weren't abused, we were raped. We need to get that in our own heads. Everyone around us needs to stop telling us to forget about it, or what they do is you try to tell someone. My own sister, try to tell my sister, and she always 3 times I tried to tell her, and she cuts in with, well, this one time this thing happened to her and it was a bad thing, but she still, there's never it was just she wasn't I understand and let's do something about it. She's yeah, and we don't talk about that. And it's the hell we don't. So don't have a list of don'ts. Don't tell us to get over it. Don't tell us how we feel unless you also have been raped. Don't tell us it was our own fault. You should have known better, blah, blah. We talk a lot about this, and I get deep into this in a previous live stream, but that was on Facebook, and I've just switched. This is only my second YouTube live stream. I will have and will continue posting live streams from the past 3 months on this channel. I've got over 30 that are going on here, but I'm going to continue on with my 5-day-a-week plan, Monday through Friday, or Tuesday through Friday. I need Monday for my business, feelgoodfairtrade.com, shameless plug. It's not shameless because we support women artisans from all over the world. And we just hit our 4th year in business online. But we're going to have our anniversary in about a month, because right now we've got a huge thing unfolding. My Earth 2.0 shopping platform lives. It lives. And the first store is sweetsurvivor.com. Sweet Survivor is all about raising money to provide rescue transportation to victims of trafficking and abuse and get them somewhere safe. The pandemic has been hell on people, but even without the pandemic, even with more people being vaccinated, this is a huge, huge need and problem. And I saw that space and decided to fill it. So that is why I'm here. I'm going to teach, coach like I always do, but we're going to also start selling merchandise for Sweet Survivors on here. And we're going to provide transportation. I've even got a subscription that I'm going to be launching. It's going to be at sweetsurvivor.com, which right now goes to Feel Good Fair Trade. It's a subdomain, but I'm opening it on its own store. Had over 2 hours of meetings in 2 sessions today, onboarding the new stores. And I have something else exciting to announce. Motorcycle going around my apartment complex. Something else exciting. I have four stores that I am going to be accepting, not just applications. I want life stories, and I want goals and missions and who you want them to support, because 4 flagship or 2.0 fundraising family of shop stores, I am going to be gifting partial percentage, and you will be a partial store owner, not half and half. I'm still controlling it. I'm still doing the bones, setting up the stores, but you will have the freedom and the creativity to take it where you want to take it or not. So anyway, I've been working with the SEO guys today on this whole, and the developers on this new thing, and it's pretty exciting. But back to our topic today. Talked about how we're going to call it assault, not abuse, because duh. What more do I need to say than that? And I want to expound upon what I was talking about yesterday. Yesterday, we touched on the things that I'm just learning, the new science about disassociation, and how it's not just something you get over. It's not something you can just like, oh, I'm healed and I'm better. I've gone through memories and whatever. And, it's disassociation happens in less than 1 second, and it's a process that's separate. It's separate from your conscious thoughts and reactions. And without getting all detailed about brain parts on you, I will reiterate that when your memories really don't set in for a couple of days, especially more traumatic ones. Some traumatic memories never ever get adopted into the part of your brain that creates chronological, ordered memories. And even those are very subject to being manipulated and lost in your brain. But trauma, this is why one of the criteria for believing rape and child abuse victims is their inability to recall clearly events in chronological sequences that are orderly. Duh. This is what, and I didn't know all of this before, the science and the neurology of how, in order to disassociate and continue taking repeated continued abuse, like I said, rape is assault. So child sexual abuse is child sexual assault. Now imagine being raped over and over and over and over again for years. Your brain has so learned to disassociate at that young of an age that it's literally not building the connections, because those are formative years for the body. So they are learning that they can have success when they put PTSD sufferers of any kind into, I always say, a hypobaric chamber, which is problematic for me, because even if I could get access to it, I am claustrophobic. And you can't just get out of one of those And they've said some people freak out and try to escape. They get in there, and what they're doing is putting you through 3 stages of memory and recall. And then the second stage is keeping the memories fresh, but putting soothing other tactile things and sounds that relax you, putting you into a state of relaxation. So now you're remembering at a state of relaxation. And at that point, something to do with the pressure change is helping people grow new connectivity. I assume you could call that synapses. I need to read further, but it's fascinating research. And the overall thing that you need to take, the takeaway, is that we are treating PTSD, whether it's from sexual assault or neglect, emotional abuse, war, survivor guilt, whatever form, we are not allowing ourselves to process it. So if we can do that, if we can do a therapy that allows us to do that, instead of popping pills that deaden our emotions and ruin the rest of our lives, then we've made progress. They're making really big progress here. And I am so encouraging people, because almost everybody I know, almost everybody I talk to is on pills. They're on some kind of pill or another. They think that they have to have that. And the medical establishment, most everything I read says the same thing. And I got messaged about that, and about the fact that I don't like AA. I don't like their philosophy, or alcohol, or drug rehabs, anybody that says you need to turn it over to a higher power. These are ways to fail. These are ways to not take control of your life. They're ways to say, if I fail, God didn't help me enough. These are, whatever your view of God is, the only higher power that is going to make you feel better and teach you how to manage PTSD is the one in your head that says, I'm going to do this. And this is where I lose people. I have actually turned away people recently who want me to talk with them and coach them, because 3 sessions in, it's just a loop of hopelessness. We have to make progress, and I can't make progress with somebody who doesn't say to themselves, okay, yes, somebody did something bad to me. Maybe some buddies did. Maybe a bunch of people did. You would not believe the stories, the real stories I hear all the time of multiple family members, multiple stepfathers and boyfriends, just ways of life for these people whose dads pimped them out as children, people whose dads ate their genitals and sexually stimulated them as toddlers and then started running them. This is not just a few people here and there. It's a huge problem in our society and in others. And we have got to stop sweeping it under the rug, because people like me don't deserve to spend years of our lives trying to figure out how to be normal. So that's something that I want everyone to know. Something I want you to know is, get it in your head. If you are a PTSD sufferer/survivor, get it out of your head that you're ever going to be fine, that you're ever going to forget it. That's not what therapy is. That is not what being a survivor is. Nor is it the terrible thing. It is your release. It is your release from worry about yourself to say, I am a sexual assault. Dang it. I am a sexual assault survivor. And therefore, I now can work forward with this category in mind. And I have decided, it kind of came in because of something I said, something that I do. And I realized I was just giving you a visualization. I said, take your trauma, but don't bury it. Don't wait to freak out and jump down the rabbit hole of psychological trauma, which we all say we don't want to go into, but we do. We like it in there. We subconsciously like the mess, the trauma, because we are familiar with that. That is what our brain understands. That is where our brain is in a completely disassociated, and even though it's horrifying, it's still, it's got a comfort in the fact that there's not a thought process. We get comfortable in our own reliving our trauma. I even was talking with someone who told me that they enjoyed the attention they got, which I was mortified by, but then had to really think it out. This person enjoyed the attention they got for being a sexual assault survivor. I'm not even going to touch that one because I'm really undecided on this person and their experience. But it's really not my place to judge other people, or is it your place to judge the crosses that other people bear? Just know that whole that of freak out of something triggers you and the emotions get bouncing in your head and the words repeat over and over and you say the same thing to yourself over and over and you feel like you're going to lose your mind, and then everyone handles it differently, but generally it ends with crying or drugs and alcohol or anything to make it stop. Hysteria until the migraine comes. These are things that then they drug out of you. Then you tell your doctor that's what's going on and they're going to give you pills. And if you're on pills, I'm not saying stop them because that is dangerous too. I'm saying consider that there is a way to get control of your own mind and to train it. So that's what we do. And that's why I'm going to continue picking up where I left off yesterday. So now we know that we are literally missing connections that lead to disassociation. And that was on purpose. Our brain did that on purpose because our brain said, this is too much to bear and remember, so we're not going to give this brain as many connections to process and put this shit away. So we're going to take the memories and we're going to pull them out. And that's horrifying and painful, and it is. And you should reach for a support system if you have one. I'll be your support system if you don't. And I mean that with all my heart. There'll be an appointment calendar soon. SweetSurvivor.com is so close to launching. It's going to have the book excerpts, but it's going to have the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund subscription. It's going to link to this channel. Basically, the rest of my life is about raising money for Sweet Survivor now. And to help you because doing this helps me. I was recently told that you're never going to change the world. I said this a couple days ago too. You can't make this all go away. And I'm like, not in my lifetime, no. But I'm sure not going to use that as a reason to accept this patriarchal, paradoxical, mythological, human rights denying crap in any way more than I have to. The reason I advocate is because it makes me feel better about the shame and the guilt that I do not deserve to bear, but I still struggle with. That's what triggers are. They are things that no matter what your conscious mind says, and people are like, oh, you should get over it. They think you should think your way out of it, but you can't think your way out of body memory. But the good news is you can learn your way out of it. You can learn your way into controlling the moment. You can't control the memory, nor should you. You're going to take the memory, I reiterate again, and you're going to you're going to make a file. Consider your mind an office now. Your mind is an office, not a freak out. It can be a messy office. Okay, mine is. And you're going to take everything that you don't want to be, everything that is bad that has happened to you, whatever. You can make multiple files. My point is, I used this analogy before and I'm going to continue using it. In fact, I'm going to make a file and I'm going to merchandise it. And I'm going to sell you a file that will support Sweet Survivor. And what it is symbolic. It is a symbolic place to put all your crap and to put it out on an upper shelf in the daylight, not in the recesses of your heart or your soul or your mind. You're going to look at that file and it will remind you of what you have survived. and how powerful and strong you are. And you won't forget it, but you don't have to open that file. You don't have to open it every day. If you put it deep down, then when you think about it, you feel guilty and shameful, and you have to keep pushing it further down. And it's just maddening to many of us. The way to overcome past issues, dang it, is deal with them. Deal with them. And it's something we're going to do every day, probably forever. I see a therapist an hour a week. I always say it every show, and I always will, because I have so many things that I think about from my past, things that come up, things thinking about how it fits into society and how best I can move forward, wondering about this neurological stuff. It's good to have a therapist. So in the way that I coach and counsel people, I have someone that I sit and talk to just like I'm talking to you now, only she talks back a little bit. Still do most of the talking. I'm sure that's not a surprise. So anyway, I want everybody to get a copy, and it's not out yet, so you can't, so don't go look for it now. But very soon, I'm going to have an ebook guide thingy. And it's going to be it's just the things that you need to do every day. Super simple guide to overcoming PTSD in the present. And I'm not going to go in depth into all of these, but I'm going to list them off. I kind of made an acronym, SPADES. So the shame is not yours. The shame is not yours. Put it where it belongs. First thing you do, you can use your literary mind for that. Your literary mind can say, the shame is not mine. I know this, even though my body still feels it, even though I still have body sensation, whatever it is, sexual or war trauma or any kind of shame-based PTSD, it's not yours. So put that in your literary mind and hold it there. Remember, your mind is an office. This is all about mental training. Now, your next step is you're going to separate the past from the present. Now, this is how we get the mental state of the present to connect to the triggers that are pulling you and sucking you into the past. When you hear that in your mind, however it is for you, for me, I start repeating phrases, and it gets to the point that I feel like these thoughts are bouncing around in my head like a racquetball, and it turns into negative, degrading talk, and then I feel crazy. But that hardly ever happens, and I really don't get into it that far anymore because of learning. Basically, I just read a lot of books, had a therapist 20 years ago, spent many years raising my children and just not doing any kind of therapy or anything, not even thinking about it, burying it down, and then having it rear its ugly head and work in negative ways that I saw how I was hurting myself again. I was in a very destructive relationship that I felt like I was the power person on. I haven't even talked about this yet, but I just spent years accepting a relationship to essentially have sex now and then, but no commitments. And I knew this person would never, ever love me or be with me. And that was the power for me. So that worked great because I just was raising my kids, right? Now it's like all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but actually creeping up as two of my children have left home and are self-supporting. And the one's 16, just took state in Fortnite. Yay! He's the school champion, #1 in the state. And not just school, he's like really good at this. Anyway, I've come a long way, baby. And you can too. And I'm really glad that I can share this with you. All I ask is that you subscribe, because we need to have 100 subscribers before we can get a custom URL for Sweet Survivor on YouTube. And then we need, and this is all good for like the algorithm. And then I need 1,000 subscribers so that we can monetize and actually raise money right on here. But we are going to link to sweetsurvivor.com, which, like I said, I spent hours working today with our new SEO agency to get ready for the migration and the opening of several Earth 2.0 stores that are going to be popping up now. I've been threatening for a long time. I've been working on it. They think like sitting around, you know, this pandemic hit. I work from home. My business took a huge hit. Nobody bought anything. We're going under, you know, I got behind on bills, just the whole bit. But I used the time and I just doubled down. I'm like, I've got unemployment and I am going to build Sweet Survivor because I got COVID and my son asked me, if you die, if you had 2 weeks to live, what would you do? He asked me right after we both got our COVID diagnosis. And I said, I would get Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund off the ground. And I did. I filed for a 501c3, if you know what that is. That's a nonprofit status. We've got GoFundMe page. And even before my symptoms kicked in to where I had pneumonia 3 days later, I had the GoFundMe page and the Facebook fundraiser page is up. Please donate because nobody is. We're going to blow this up. We're going to sell merchandise. I was going to order you to go do that, but that's not nice. So sweetsurvivor.com, very shortly, you'll have the opportunity to do all of the above in one convenient location. So, I think I'm going to about call it, I was going through spades though. Shame is not yours. Separate the past from the present. The past will take you over and try to, and you can choose at that point to go with it all the way into emotional upset or withdrawal or drug use or whatever you do, or, and I'm not saying you can't have a glass of wine or a hit of marijuana because I do that myself, and I'm not saying you should either. I'm saying I'm only human as well. I'm not coming to you like you should never do any drugs or pills and you should. No, I would prefer to manage my emotions with a couple of evening glasses of wine now and then, not every day, because I also believe in not killing my bodily organs and dying a young death of alcohol poisoning. So as tempting as it would be to be an alcoholic, because I love alcohol, I choose not to be an alcoholic. I have a lot of willpower, I've been told. Some people say I don't have any willpower. And those are the people that are the hardest to help too. And they're the ones most likely to spiral down that rabbit hole. And I'm trying to pull you out, tell you don't need to do that. So there are techniques to not. I can't spend a whole lot of time on it, but real quick, if you've got the past present thing going on, you're being pulled into the past and you want to stay present, then start saying the most mundane things. You have eyes. Whatever you see, that's a computer. That's my fan. That's the brick wall. I'm at home. It's 2021. Say the date. Say your name. Say your age. Say your kids' names. Pull yourself. And pretty soon, and you don't have to say it out loud if you're in a crowd, but you can. It works. It's very simple. It's very easy. It works faster than a pill. And you don't have to drug yourself out of all of your emotions just to overcome the one thing in your life. Do you really want to take pills and lose your libido? Do you want to lose your joy so that you can avoid your pain? You know, give it a lot of thought. Don't quit your pills. I'm not a doctor. Do not, without telling your doctor that's what you want to do and working towards it. But by all means, I do advocate for that. So that was P for spades. A is ask for what you want. Ask for what you want. Ask the universe, ask the people around you, ask your lover. And a side note, don't make your lover your therapist, because that's not love. Well, I mean, it's love, but it's like friendly love, not passion. Make sure your lover is the person that you're passionate about life with. They're the place you're supposed to be each other's soft place to fall, and your excitement and your orgasms and all the good stuff. So make every effort not to turn your lover into your therapist. You know, I have a lover and a therapist, and I try not to turn him into my therapist, even though I update him on what's going on. And but we're at A, D. What's D? Don't. It starts with don't. Don't wait to feel okay to be okay. That means you're not going to just sit around going, I wish I didn't feel this way. Find something you like to do and frickin' go do it. You can always volunteer. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Volunteering gives you a cause and a purpose. Why do you think I do this? I do this because Sweet Survivor Fund keeps my focus on my own mental health. And unfortunately, I was sexually assaulted and raped for 7 years of my life. And so therefore, I have to keep a grip on my mental health. It's a fact. If you're somebody who also needs to do that, then let's move to the last step, which is advocate. Speak. S, spades. Speak. Advocate. You're going to, or E first, educate. Educate and advocate. Speak up. Don't let another generation feel that they have to hide what happens to them. Don't let another generation of 14-year-olds have their photographs. I'm still pissed about this. Shiloh, Angelina Jolie, there was a post. I said this yesterday, I'm going to say it again. It just disgusts me. I read, it popped up as a notification, and it said, Shiloh out with, Angelina Jolie rocking the Daisy Dukes, rocking the dark Daisy Dukes. And it said 14-year-old Shiloh rocking the dark Daisy Dukes. They're talking about a 14-year-old's ass hanging out like, this is good. Yay, look at how cool she looks. And then we say we want to protect girls, and then we say we want to respect them. We've got people on major newscasts saying we need to marry girls off earlier. We've got representatives in office who write child pornography erotica. We've got so much going on that if you've got nothing else to live for, then join me and advocate. You got everything to live for, though. Death is incredibly final. Don't let them kid you into thinking there's necessarily a great life next. I do think I believe that energy goes on, but you know what? It might be a work camp. Who knows? Don't. I've talked to a few suicidal people, and you scare me. And so I always tell them, it's like, get out of your mythology. If nothing else, don't believe all this crap that there's definitely an afterlife. You don't know. You don't know. People make up stuff to make ourselves feel better. I've got a God. It's kindness and goodness and love. That's what I created, and I call it God. And I use that force of kindness and goodness and love, and I draw it out of the world. But it's a construct I created. And when I die, I expect to go back into the energy field, not be dropping in on my living relatives. But that's me. You have your own religion. You do what you want to do with your spiritual beliefs. I'm just sharing a little more about where I'm at and why some people take opposition to my stance on AA. Again, if it works for you, great. If that's something that works for you and you're having success, great. But if you're not having success, consider that the only higher power you need to turn to is inside you. It's inside you. We love to look for somebody else to grab. We love a life preserver, which is interesting because that is the logo for Sweet Survivors, is a life preserver. But Sweet Survivors need a life preserver. We got to pull people out of the ocean and teach them to stand on their own. And you need to learn to stand on your own emotionally, and you can do it. You can do it. Let's do it. Let's do it every day. Okay. Almost every day. Tuesday through Friday. Mondays, I have to catch up with weekend business, and Sundays or Saturdays, I have a life. I'll talk with you all soon. Bye-bye.